Today's guest made quite the headlines last week when he announced a 5-year deal with MVP. The bird himself is with us, Eagle McMahon. How does it feel to be a gyronaut?
It feels great. It's honestly feels pretty surreal still wearing the MVP logo. As a lot of people may know, I was with Discmania for 9 years, my whole touring professional career. So at one point, I thought I was going to be representing the Shield pretty much my whole career. To see this definitely is pretty crazy, but in the best possible way. I've fully embraced it. I'm loving it so far.
Awesome. Seems like the MVPeeps, as you call them, also are really excited about having you and Simon on the team. But I have to ask, like, is gyro just a gimmick, or is there something behind the science that MVP are chatting about? What's your opinion?
It's definitely not a gimmick. When I first saw gyro, I was skeptical, but it literally is science. The more weight you can force out to the outside of the rim is going to stabilize the flight and give you more distance. I think a perfect example of it is one of the aerobie rings. It has the record for the longest thrown object ever. And that's a bunch of weight on the outside of the rim, and there's nothing on the inside. So as much as you can achieve that with a disc golf disc, the more advantageous it will be. So all disc golf discs do it to a certain degree, but MVP is really focused on getting the weight to the outside as much as possible. So the black part of the rim is more dense than the interior. So whether you're in a headwind, whether you're just one thing I've noticed with the gyro so far is I shank less shots, or when I shank a shot, it's less bad because the left right variance is less with the gyro.
Okay,
So
cool.
something that I'm really looking forward to help keep me in the fairway.
I hope it should. But
Uh-huh.
but like for people who are not that familiar with MVP and Axiom, there's something called overmold technology. Could you briefly just explain what that is all about?
Right. So MVP is the main brand, but they have sub brands Axiom and Streamline. Um, with Axiom and with MVP, they have the overmold. The way you can tell an MVP disc apart from an Axiom disc is that most times it's going to have a black rim. That's going to indicate that it's MVP. Well, Axiom is going to be a colored rim. The only exception for MVP is if they're doing a Eclipse disc, which is a glow plastic, they do a white rim. But they also have their brand Streamline, which is no overmold, so just one piece of plastic. And I think I could show this. They actually gave me a disc without the overmold, so you can kind of see how it interlocks into the disc. So
Wow.
it's two different pieces. So it's actually crazy. When I went to the warehouse, I didn't get to see discs being made, but I saw they broke down the process of what they do to make a disc, and it's absolutely mind blowing that they're able to achieve the price point of essentially creating two pieces of plastic and then bonding them together, because that's, as some people may know, when creating a disc, climate control, exact precision is so necessary in order to create a consistent product. And the fact that they're able to make overmold discs for the price point is extremely impressive, because essentially if the two pieces don't fit together essentially perfectly, they have to scrap them because it's not up to their standard. So for generally speaking, it's very impressive that it's actually a thing, because it's actually really difficult to do, and it just proves like MVP is really the only brand to do it at least very well to date. So really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Are there two different molds? Is there like a mold for the outer part and then a mold for the inner part? Does the plastic go in simultaneously, or is it in two different batches? Or
I don't know fully, but like I said, this is a disc without the overmold, and essentially they're creating two pieces. And then I didn't get to hear or like talk I think they have some secrets that they're not letting out to the competition. But plus,
Okay.
they have a patent on this overmold technology, so they're very smart about that. They get two pieces and then they bond them together somehow, and then you get the disc. Because one of my questions was, what if they come apart? And they said that unless there gets like some grease or some sort of slippery component in between, they're really never going to come apart. They said they've tested it, they've thrown it in the walls, and they've never separated. So it's a very good process they have that's very high quality.
Wow, that's really interesting. Are you mainly going to be bagging MVP discs, or are you leaning towards some Axiom or Streamline discs as well?
There's no rules for me in terms of what ratios I have to throw. It's whatever works within the three brands. I'm not picky. Whatever I feel like I can compete well with, that's what I'm going to throw. I'll probably right now I think there's like 2 or 3 streamlined discs that I'm planning on throwing, and then the rest is a mix between Axiom and MVP.
Right. There's been some videos uploaded on YouTube, and sort of made a draft of at least your expectations on discs to throw, and it seemed like you were leaning towards the Nomad as a putting putter,
Mm-hmm.
a beaded putter, unlike what you've been
Yeah.
putting with before. Why did you lean towards putting with a beaded putter now and not another mold from the Overmold brand?
Right. MVP has a lot of great beaded options, and I feel like the Nomad is the closest disc to what I'm used to. Even though there is a bead, it's not a massive bead. If you were to look at the rim of a Nomad, it's almost like a raised bottom edge, because there's not like a real indication of a bead. It's kind of similar to like an MD3. Like MD3 is not a beaded mid range, but it has a slight raised inner edge, what gives you the false idea of a bead. But that being said, it is a different feel, and I've actually welcomed the idea of trying something out for a while now, and I really don't mind the way it feels. So far, everything that I've used, of all the experience I have with the Nomad, has been very positive. There's a chance I might use the Pilot, which is a streamlined disc, but even that has a small bead. So as long as it's a smaller bead, it doesn't really affect me. I don't think I could really do a large bead putter, but generally speaking, I think the Nomad or Pilot's going to be really good for me.
Awesome. As long as it goes in the basket, I suppose.
Yep,
Does the
exactly.
job. You already released a signature disc, the Envy,
Yes.
which looks quite incredible, by the way. I have to give some kudos to the guys that
Oh,
did
thank
Envy
you.
and Axiom for their designs. Looks awesome. And it's been given the name Rebirth. Could you talk about that name and what it means to you?
Yeah, so Rebirth, do I have one right here? Yes, I do. It's easier to talk when you can explain it. Yeah, so the Envy, this is a Prism Proton Envy, and as soon as I felt the Envy a long time ago, I'm like, wow, that disc feels absolutely incredible. Before there was even a ton of hype around the disc, and then James Conrad hit the holy shot, and I had envy at that point. And yeah, I just figured with my move to MVP, I asked the guys there, it's like, James's name is on the Electron Envy, which is the baseline plastic. I'm like, I don't want to step on his toes, but they said they checked with him, and it was more than all right that I took this premium plastic Prism Proton. And Prism Proton has never been the Envy's never been made in that plastic other than a soft variant. So
Wow.
I figured there was a good opportunity there, and I just think the Prism Proton combo is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and with the stamp, the graphic designer Mike Inshow designed it. He essentially sent me a bunch of different options. I wanted to target a Phoenix because I figured with this move to another company, with all that's happened in the past couple of years, I feel like it's time to rise from the ashes. And the perfect name for it was Rebirth. So it's a perfect symbol of what's to come and what I'm doing now. So it's very cool, and I'm very happy with how it turned out.
I'm super excited about checking that out when we get it over here in Norway. And after a baffling 9 years with Discmania, many people are probably going to expect that we're going to have some issues with transitioning to a different brand. But it seems in your videos and just talking to you that you have a tremendous knowledge about the lineup that is MVP, Axiom, and Streamline. Are you figuring out what discs you want to throw? Are there some molds that you're really excited about? Are you figuring out the bag basically?
Yeah, so Discmania had a very small lineup, and comparatively speaking to the MVP family, they have over 80 molds in between three brands. So there's a ton of options, and there's a lot of out of production discs that are even options. So ever since I knew I was going to MVP, which has been a few months now, I've just been researching the lineup, figuring out what I might like, looking at the flight numbers, and now I have a pretty good understanding on what's going to make my bag. There's still some fine tuning because there's, like, for example, you have the time lapse, you have the nitro, dimension, the gravity, the octane. So like all those discs I'm excited to throw, but I imagine once season comes and once I start refining everything, that'll probably get narrowed down to maybe one or two molds, just that I could have multiples of that will be in different stages of wear. But generally speaking, I'm really looking forward to throwing the dimension. I'm really looking forward to throwing the hex, the resistor, the fireball, the stabilizer. There's a lot of discs that I feel like can match some of the old discs that was in my previous bag in terms of flight, but also some new models that aren't really anything like what I threw before. Like the Envy's a really good example of it. If you were to compare it to a Discmania disc, you could probably say it's like there's nothing really to compare it to. Maybe a Logic, maybe like a shorter flying MD3, but it's a completely new slot in my bag that I'm extremely excited to use, because there's been a lot of times where I've had issues with a hole's like a weird in-between distance where I throw a mid-range or go up to a fairway driver or a putter and I want to go to a mid-range. So having these specific discs, I feel like is going to help me a lot, especially MVP makes a lot of 6.5 speeds, which is right in between that mid-range and fairway driver slot. I mean, they're still technically fairway drivers, but on the slower side. So a lot of slots that I'm really excited to fill, and a ton of discs that, they're only making more too. So I'm sure that it's going to be very exciting going out to the field, testing them all out, and figuring out what works best for me.
It's going to be cool to see what you land on when the season finally comes. And well, I'm also excited about you and Simon reuniting, because I remember when I started playing, you guys were sort of the pinnacle of entertainment. Are you planning on doing some content with Simon this year?
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen throughout the course of the year. No set plans on exactly what we're shooting, because a lot of it, generally speaking, is pretty organic. It's where we at on tour, how much time do we have a cool video idea, all those things are a factor. But I imagine that we're going to be doing a lot of content, because generally speaking, even when I was on Discmania, he was on MVP, we still stayed together a good amount. So we're good friends. So the possibilities are endless. I already know that a bag swap is going to be a really cool video that we're planning on doing, because even though we're on the same team, like when we were on Discmania, we threw very different bags. And while there will be parallels, there's going to be a lot of differences. So it's that's going to be something that's exciting to see.
Sounds awesome.
Yes.
Over to something completely different. You're currently recovering from a shoulder injury. Is that right?
Shoulder surgery. So
okay.
Over the past 2 years, I've been more or less dealing with injury / inconvenience. It hasn't been enough to take me out of playing disc golf, but kind of more of a limiting factor due to shoulder instability. Backhand was pretty much unaffected, but my forehand I had to really tame down, because if I threw it too hard, then I could risk throwing it out of socket. But I got the surgery. I'm past 12 weeks since the operation, and been religiously doing my physical therapy exercises twice a day for ever since, I think, for 2 months straight now. So that's my primary focus currently, because I want to get back out there. I want to be better than I was before. So I'm not going to be starting the season next month, but I'm hoping to make my return at Champions Cup, which is a major. Would love to play all 4 majors this year, establish myself within the recovering from shoulder surgery, but also with MVP. It's this year is kind of getting myself back on track. Of course, looking for some good finishes, hopefully some wins, but I got to be patient with myself and just be strong for the next 5 years.
Seems like a good plan.
Mm-hmm.
In it for the long haul, which
yes,
I'm excited about, and then all the fans we're rooting to see you back on the course.
Thank you.
And, are you having any plans on coming to Europe or Norway this summer?
Yes, it's really cool to have the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They announced their European Elite Series, and I'm going to be able to make, I believe there's 5 of them. I believe I'm planning to play 3. Beaver State Fling is going to be my last event in the US before heading over to Europe. I have the opportunity to go to Turku over in Finland, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to that one. But I will be playing the Swedish Open, signed up for the Krokol Open, which is in Norway, which I'm very excited about. It's going to be great to get back to Krokol. And then, of course, European Open and the event in Estonia. I believe it's the Tallinn Disc Golf Festival. So I'll be playing around 4 events in Europe. Very excited. Whenever I get the opportunity to play high-level events in Europe, I'm going to take it. Really, really stoked to come back. It's one of my favorite parts of the year.
Awesome. We met briefly at the PCS Open this summer, where you were. What is it called? That you're sort of trying to get a ball on top of a.
Oh, the kendama.
Yes. What's the story about that? How did you get into the kendama?
Yeah, so I was actually at a Jomez shoot at OTB Open 2021, and I like to juggle. I messed around with yo-yos a little bit, so like the general idea of a skill toy was always appealing to me. And one of the cameramen there, his name was Logan Tosta. He's a kendama pro, and when we were in between shoots or whatever, he broke out his kendama and was like teaching us how to play and showing us tricks, and it blew my mind. And he had like 10 kendamas to give away, so he gave one to Simon, Thomas Gilbert, Germ, Yuli, whoever else was there, and it stuck with me. I remember that whole tournament, I was just messing around with kendama, and it just something that stuck. And then a year went on where I was just playing pretty intermittently. I definitely liked it, but Sweets Kendamas reached out to me, one of the bigger brands in kendama, and the CEO, the owner, he's a big disc golfer, and he wanted to partner with me and give me my own signature model. So like everything just kind of aligned, and it just became like a secondary hobby that I really enjoy doing. And yeah, it's amazing. I feel like disc golf and kendama go hand in hand. If you're on a long backup playing a tournament or just a casual round, having kendama in your bag, it can help pass the time. And great hand-eye coordination helps with disc golf, I would say. So very cool community. Like the kendama players and disc golfers are different, like counter cultures, and I feel like they're the match made in heaven.
Wow, that's so awesome. So you're also a sponsored kendama player.
I'm sponsored kendama player because I'm good at disc golf. But the Sweets Kendama guys, they have a team called the Sweets Mob, which essentially is people who play kendama who do other things well. Like if you were to look at the Sweets Mob, you have Boogie T, which is like a pretty famous DJ. You have a bunch of like skateboarders, BMX riders, things along those lines. So not necessarily, I'm not saying I'm very good at kendama. Like I can do some intermediate to lower advanced style tricks, but if you were to watch actual pro kendama players, it would absolutely blow your mind, because the touch, like the fine motor skills, is absolutely incredible.
Wow, I was not aware that there was such a big connection between disc golf and kendama, and that sounds really, really awesome.
It is really
to wrap
cool.
things up, 2024 is just around the corner. What are you most excited about?
Most excited about, I'd say it's probably a tie, like getting back on the course, being 100% hopefully. I'm putting all my work into that. That's very exciting. And throwing new discs, representing a new brand. I feel like it's a new part of my journey, and I can't be more excited because the support that MVP's showing me and showing the whole team is really cool what they're putting together. So really exciting, really excited for the rebirth, so to speak. So yeah, I'd say that, and obviously getting back out, just playing, meeting people, hopefully getting some wins. Like that's it's the whole package. I'm excited for everything.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And
Of course.
hopefully we'll see you out on the course as soon as possible, and excited about getting the rebirth in. It seems awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It's been awesome.